Thank you guys so much. Did you enjoy that? All right. So the question we always ask, with these was it great or were you 8 movies is was it great or was I 8? I want to ask you though, what did you think? This is your first time seeing The Fog.
Well, do you want to do the plot synopsis first?
Okay,
or?
so real quick, for those of you who weren't in the room with us, it's the 100th anniversary of the founding of this coastal town when there was this mysterious shipwreck and this mysterious, ominous fog, glowing fog rolls into Antonia Bay and weird things start happening and lights go out and yet Adrienne Barbeau manages to still do her radio program. She's a pro, damn it.
Yes.
And so people get picked off one by one by the zombie fog monsters, and we realize it's because the town was founded in horrible, murderous ways.
Deep, dark secret. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to scooch back a tiny bit because it's super bright here. There's like this ominous warning that 6 must die. And so we see them get picked off one by one. And then eventually, is there a 6th? And it's Hal Holbrook, drunk priest Hal Holbrook.
Yeah, any 6 must die, apparently. They're not real picky about who they go after. There's a mood, obviously. Like this is, John Carpenter knows how to craft these moments, and so there are a lot of cool sort of spooky things where the fog is coming in and it's getting under the door and they're knocking and is it I had a hard time nailing down what the rules were. Like it seems like nothing has ever happened in this town for a long time, but then they find the diary and the diary says, between 12 and 1 is when they, and so at the beginning of the movie between 12 and 1 they do wreak havoc and I'm sorry, if you're gonna give me Chekhov's gasoline on the floor, like there better be an explosion, and there isn't. It just is spilled gas and a car going up in the thing. But then the next day, when it's the actual 100th anniversary, like it doesn't 12 to 1. No, it just whenever the fog shows up, and the fog shows up and things happen.
Fog gonna do what fog gonna do.
Fog gonna fog, So there were some frightening moments, and I love the great ambience. I mean, he really gives you this town and the people in it, and its checkered past, and the people who live there now. A lot of kind of random characters, like Jamie Lee Curtis's hitchhiker, just sort of observes mostly,
I can explain that, but go ahead.
Okay. And then, I love Janet Leigh as the sort of like, kind of busybody lady running the anniversary celebration. Although, again, I'm thinking, they talk about the big 100th anniversary party. So I thought, there'll be a carnival or something that the ghosts show up. No, it's just a bunch of people giving speeches and a statue,
But you've got to see the statue. Don't push. Please.
Yeah, single file to the statue. Please.
Statue, come on, we gotta get there.
And we never even get a close-up of it, so we don't even know what it really is the statue of. Like, I guess it's a ship. I don't know. It's fine, and it's over the course of like Carpenter has this fascinating body of work. We're both members of Los Angeles Film Critics Association, and this week we honored Carpenter with our Career Achievement Award, which he's getting at our dinner in January, which is very exciting. He's actually the first person to have gotten the New Generation Award that we give out for sort of up-and-coming filmmakers and the Career Achievement. So it's a nice little bookend for the group's 50th anniversary. So I think it's effective, and I get why people like it. I know I've some folks were telling me that they love this movie and were really psyched to see it again on the big screen. I could also see why audiences in 1980 seeing the next movie from the Halloween guy were like, what is this? Everybody's running from weather, which I thought M. Night Shyamalan invented in The Happening, but apparently no. Carpenter, as always, was there first.
And you think they'd have like cozier cable knit sweaters. Only Dan, the weather guy, knows how to dress for coastal Northern California. Like Adrienne Barbeau's and her little flimsy button downs. Right.
Well, it was the golden age of the ski vest, I think. And so that's what Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is rocking.
Yes. So apparently Jamie Lee Curtis is here because, 2 years earlier, Halloween came out and that made her a star. And because it was so successful, she couldn't get cast in anything else. And so Carpenter wrote this role for her.
Gotcha.
So if it seems wedged in, it completely is.
I see.
That's what it is. And then what feels to me like a missed opportunity here is that you have her in the same room with her mom.
Right.
And like they don't interact in any capacity whatsoever.
Well, that's actually kind of a flex. Like I thought, ooh, what if they're like never even, in each other's vicinity in the movie, But yeah, they do get together and then just completely ignore each other. I don't know. I did appreciate the fact that when Jamie Lee Curtis climbs into Tom Atkins' truck, it's like, oh, Halloween 1 and 2 meet Halloween 3, and that's Carpenter at the beginning, right? As the guy who wants to get paid. Okay, I thought so. Okay. So yeah, I think over the course of his career, this holds a certain place, and he's exploring a specific kind of horror that's different from Halloween. It's different from The Thing. It's different from a lot of other stuff. But like he'll do a Children of the Damned. He'll do like these different kinds of films that he loves all of it. He loves the whole genre. And so yeah, this is like Angela Lansbury would not be out of place in this movie.
But she'd know how to foil the fog.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. She'd solve this thing lickety split. But no, I'm glad I saw it. It's cool. I'm not like crazy about it, but I see a lot of things
like racy, naughty danger. Like just her very persona. I even realized that back then, like, ooh, who's this person? If she's here, this must be naughty.
Well, I had grown up watching her on Maude, so I always thought of her as like, she was the right-on woman of today,
So I don't think it's scary now. Watching it now, it's moody. It's kind of funny. Because they're such slow-moving creatures, the zombie pirates, and
leper zombie
pirates. Check, and check. Right, everything you want in a creature, but they don't ever try to kill them. They don't ever try to like shoot out, like they don't try in any way. And I think that's maybe part of why there was a letdown from Halloween, is because even when there are kills,
she fights back.
They're not bloody, right. And I don't think, is this R even?
I think it is, but probably for intensity, if anything else. When you talk about the sort of amorphous nature of it, like I was reminded of when they remade The Blob in the 80s, the tagline was, "Terror has no shape." And yeah, this is the core, I guess. I don't know how else you keep it away.
Yes. This did not do very well. I mentioned that people felt it was a letdown after Halloween. It's at 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's a lot of 2.5 star reviews. Roger Ebert gave it 2. Our friend Leonard Maltin gave it 2. And so people thought it wasn't great. It made about $21 million when it came out. But since then has gotten kind of a cult following. I know a lot of you folks were psyched to see it again because you love it. So.
Someone bothered to do a 4K, so obviously they felt like that was, an audience to come see that.
Right. So the idea for this, I read, came from Carpenter and his then girlfriend, Debra Hill, who he co-wrote this with, went to Stonehenge to promote Assault on Precinct 13.
Whoa. And
when they were there, they saw the fog. So Stonehenge has inspired not just This Is Spinal Tap, but also this classic here. But then by the time we get to this, he's married to Adrienne Barbeau, and this is her first film.
Right, but she had a long career behind her already. In addition to Maude, she was the original Rizzo in Broadway's Grease.
Amazing.
So, she'd been around the block. It wasn't just like Mrs. Director gets a role,
right. And I do think she's good here because she has to play a couple different versions of this person, because she has to play like the mom and the longtime resident who's terrified, but also turn it on to not freak out the guys at sea. So she has to switch that off and on really quickly.
And she's in this movie pretty much by herself almost the entire time.
True.
So she's playing to nothing but her, and so that's, I mean, everybody's sort of in their own movie for most of this movie until most of them meet up at the church at the end. But yeah, she's got no one to play off of, and still creates this whole character, multifaceted, like you said, and is our through line for so much of the plot.
Yeah. So that is an actual lighthouse. So most of this was shot up in Marin County, coastal Marin. So Point Reyes and Bolinas, and they mentioned Bodega Bay at one point. Yeah. That's a little bit north. They mentioned Salinas at one point. That's a little farther south down the coast, where my husband and I met. My husband's here somewhere. We met in Salinas, California. So we know this whole coastal area really well. My second job out of school after I got out of college was at the Marin Independent Journal. And I was the police reporter in a place with no crime. But there was, it's true, I'll call, hey, it's Christy at the IJ. What's going on tonight? Nothing, click.
Young hooligans with toilet paper.
Nothing. But there was something that really, really bad that happened in Bolinas, and that's like way far remote coastal Marin. It's a place where the people who live there hide the signs that point you down the road to get there because they don't want people to find it. It's very insular and very remote, and I think that does a whole lot to create a sense of place, to create a sense of mood, that they are like trapped out here in this place that's beautiful, but they are vulnerable to zombie pirates.
Of course. And Bodega Bay, of course, is a real place, but also allows Carpenter to do another Hitchcock shout out because it's the location for the birds.
Yes.
And you get the sense of, I mean, like part of him kind of cashing in his Halloween chits here is like, yeah, I got to cast Jamie Lee Curtis, who was relatively unknown in Halloween, but now I finally get the star of Psycho in my movie.
And you have John Houseman. So apparently that whole front part, that whole like prologue. Have to flesh it out. So apparently that added like an extra $1 million to the budget, and he added the John Houseman stuff, and that is done on a soundstage with the kids who are up way past their bedtime, by the way. It's like midnight. Those kids should be in bed.
It's Northern California, Christy.
That's true. And it's a celebration, you guys. It's a big night in Antonia Bay.
There's a statue.
So this is a very this is a prolific time for Carpenter. You mentioned, so he'd done Halloween in 78. This is 80. Escape from New York is 81. The Thing is 82. Christine is 83. Starman's 84.
Wow.
And a couple of years later is Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
So it's a really busy time for him, just pumping it out. And as you say, they're all really different. Like there are some thriller horror elements to them, of course, but there are different like subgenres within that.
Definitely. Yeah. He's playing with a lot of tones, and I think I suspect that the relative lack of success of this movie made him lean heavier into more what he would consider like sort of audience friendly versions of the kind of stories he wanted to tell. Although, I mean, he's one of those directors, I think, where so often, like, he has this huge hit early on, like, Halloween Follows, Precinct 13 and Dark Star, but like The Fog didn't do well. The Thing didn't do well originally.
The Thing is great.
Of course.
Yes.
And I think even Big Trouble in Little China was considered a box office disappointment at the time. But now they're all looked at as these kind of modern classics. Starman, I don't think, did what they wanted it to at the time, but now it's considered to be, this, I think they thought it was going to be E.T. and it wasn't. But it has nonetheless become a cult favorite, like so much of his film. So I think he's somebody that has very much kind of followed his own instincts, and even if they don't pay off immediately, eventually audiences tend to catch up with this stuff. Like, I know there's a fervent, at least internet following for like In the Mouth of Madness that did not exist when that movie was in its...
Oh, was it great? Audience says yes.
Audience says yes. But audience paid to see this today. Yes, I mean it is great in the sense that John Carpenter is a great filmmaker, and even his less successful films have something going for them. So yeah, sure, I'll say it's great.
You don't have to say it was great just because of me. You don't have to.
That's them, really. I'm more afraid of them. And is it still great having seen it the first time?
It's great differently because it's funny. Like, it's not scary. It's kind of funny the way that like The Blob is also funny. Like just the idea of them like lumbering in is kind of hilarious. But it's got a ton of mood. It is lean and mean. It's like 85 minutes long. So I think it does what it needs to do very efficiently. It gets in, it gets out. So I think it's well made. And given that it's 1980, like it's a lot of very practical effects, like how they create.
It's just pretty much, that was the call sheet. Awesome. Well, thank you for getting me to watch this. Thank you to the Frida for having us today to show this. And thanks to all of you for coming. We appreciate it. We're going to hang out for a bit and say hi and, answer questions or whatever. But we thank you for joining us today. And we'll be dropping this week on our podcast. And tomorrow we are doing our monthly lunch date with our highest level Patreon members. And if you want to come hang out with us once a month on Zoom, it's patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, and lots of other fun stuff that we do that's exclusive to our Patreon members, including a ton of TV recaps and all sorts of other things. So thank you all for coming today. Happy Halloween.
Thank you so much, guys.